Your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version.
Snow White has to learn a lot of lessons about coming into her own power before she can come into power over a kingdom.
There's no denying it. Recent years have been riddled with box office flops for the Walt Disney Company under CEO Bob Iger, but what's brewing for 2025 is set to take things to a whole new level. All eyes are on the live-action Snow White remake and the chaos surrounding its press tour, especially with Rachel Zegler, the so-called star of the film, stirring up even more drama. Rachel Zegler has been making headlines for all the wrong reasons, launching into multiple rants about the backlash this movie has been facing. The outrage centers on what many see as an over-the-top push for DEI initiatives and a heavy-handed agenda driven by Disney's leadership, including Iger, studio executives, and everyone tied to this project.
Anything that has to do with technology creating opportunity for us, I find very enjoyable.
Critics claim this movie isn't just a retelling of Snow White, it's Disney's ideology wrapped in a fairy tale. And Zegler, she's added fuel to the fire with her latest tirade, blasting the public for rejecting the film outright, with some audiences even vowing to boycott it altogether. And the fallout doesn't end there. It's clear that even die-hard Disney fans are steering clear of Snow White 2025. So let's dive right in. One thing about Rachel Zegler, she just doesn't seem to know when to stop, stay silent, or, let's be honest, keep her opinions to herself.
Extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power.
And let's not forget her less than stellar track record at the box office. We've seen the disasters before. Remember Y2K? And let's not overlook other films she's been involved in, whether as the leading actress or in a supporting role. But here's the kicker, Snow White is already shaping up to be the biggest box office failure in Disney's history. Yes, you read that right. The Walt Disney Company is already in freefall, thanks to the marketing debacle for Snow White and the overwhelming backlash against Zegler herself. And now, things just escalated even further. Rachel Zegler has fired back at the public once again in response to the growing outrage. Here's what she had to say. What really offends me is that this is a film fit for the modern woman that aims to inspire so many women in our country to stand up like a warrior, and that's what Snow White is all about in this one. We wanted to go with a different approach, with not only her backstory, but why she is called Snow White. And there seems to be a large amount of both men and women that just don't understand basic common sense of what it means to be a true woman, especially in this film. Because in this film, the way we tell this story, it's not just a fictional tale. It is a lesson to how women should act in certain situations against society that they find themselves captured in. This is not your traditional Snow White film from 1937. We had to go with a new approach that was both balanced and fair and especially respected diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because to me, that is the most important thing in the world. I think I wrongfully get criticism for defending that because everyone likes to claim that this film holds some kind of an agenda from me or from Disney, and that is nothing more than a big fat lie, coming from false narratives of a loud minority of critics that want to destroy the fun for others. This is a film that I think is only for women in spirit. But I'm seeing all of these families boycotting this great piece of art, and it's so childish to act like that, and to act that way before you even know what this movie is about. This is why I find it to be very important that we get the word out there on what it means to be a woman. A courageous woman who is willing to stand up and fight for society. DEI is not an agenda. I don't care what anyone out there says. If you claim that's an ideology of any kind, then I think you need to really look in the mirror to figure out what of course and how this actual world works. Because diversity, equity, and inclusion is a normal concept, 'tis a basic function to create fairness and balance, and to provide opportunities to everyone and all that want to be a part of a project for something like Snow White, as an example, that is just so embedded in pop culture. Before we get into Rachel Zegler's latest outburst, let's talk about one of her boldest claims. She's insisting that DEI isn't an agenda. Yes, you heard that right. Now, let's be real. That statement couldn't be further from the truth. While she's busy calling others liars, her own words seem far from honest. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI initiatives, aren't just limited to Disney. They're deeply embedded in Hollywood studios, major organizations, and corporations everywhere. These programs have been widely criticized as a vehicle for pushing specific ideologies into workplaces and industries. And this isn't new. It's been happening for over a decade. But in the last 3 years, it's reached an entirely new level of visibility and controversy. Rachel Zegler, on the other hand, seems to be in full damage control mode, doubling down on her stance while brushing off the growing backlash. But her claims are only adding fuel to the fire. Rachel Zegler is doing everything she can to defend this movie, even though it's clear no one's lining up to watch it. Sure, a handful of people might support this mess, but let's be honest. Anyone thinking critically isn't wasting their time on Zegler or giving Disney a dime of their hard-earned money. This isn't just about a bad movie, it's about Snow White completely disrespecting not only the beloved 1937 Disney classic, but also the original Brothers Grimm tale that started it all. Rachel Zegler has made it abundantly clear that she doesn't even respect the fans and families who want no part in movies like this. Here's the thing, people have the right to make their own decisions. They don't have to watch a movie if it looks awful, plain and simple. That's just how it works. But Zegler, she doesn't seem to understand that. Instead, she points fingers at the audience, claiming they don't get it, while completely missing the point herself. And it doesn't stop there. Let's continue and take a closer look at what she said next. We are just seeing a mixture of a lot of angry families and men that have no clue what they are even talking about when it boils down to the story of Snow White. This is a story that will go down in history and will be an instant classic. I can almost guarantee many of the critics will line up to see me and would have instantly changed their rhetoric about a film like this that sets up the character in a new fashion. One thing that really stands out about Rachel Zegler is the way she talks about herself. She's made comments like, "When people come to see me," or "critics will give their time to see me," as if the entire world revolves around her. Statements like these reveal just how egotistical and self-absorbed she is. It's like she's completely wrapped up in her own bubble. And honestly, it's insufferable. What's even more shocking is that Disney seems to be letting her run wild with this behavior. They're just standing by as she says whatever she wants about this film. At this point, it feels like Disney has completely given up. It's almost as if they've accepted defeat, telling her, "All right, Rachel, the leash is off. Do whatever you want because this movie's already a lost cause." And let's be real, Disney knows it, the audience knows it, and deep down, Rachel probably knows it too. This project was doomed from the start, and her unchecked arrogance is only making the situation worse. But wait, it gets even more unbelievable. Rachel Zegler is clearly getting bitter, and it shows in the way she's acting. But let's be honest, this isn't new for her. She's always had this attitude, even before her streak of box office flops became impossible to ignore. At the end of the day, this could be a major turning point for Disney. Snow White might just be the film that finally forces executives to rethink their strategy. Could this be the wake-up call they need to hit the brakes on these live-action remakes of animated classics, especially when they're so focused on pushing diversity, equity, and inclusion at the forefront? Only time will tell. What do you think about Rachel Zegler's behavior and the massive backlash surrounding Snow White? Share your thoughts below. And make sure to subscribe for more on the latest celebrity news and all the behind-the-scenes drama. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.